Hello everyone, I'm Diana Cristobal and I'm here representing the architecture collective KnitKnot, a practice that I co-founded with other 5 architects in 2013. And today I'm going to be presenting our current project, Commons Building Together with Earth. So I want to begin by asking a question that has concerned our practice for a long time, which is, can architecture be a common good? And by that I mean, can it encourage forms of sharing space and collective actions that can build a common benefit over time? Or does it have to be relegated to just being a commodity that maximizes profit? So our practice believes that an architecture of the common is indeed possible, but that in order to engage with it, we need to understand buildings not just as these physical objects that may or may not encourage these collective actions, but also as a set of labor practices, legal frameworks, and participatory techniques that seek direct engagement with their users. So in that sense, we see an important difference between this notion of the commons and the more traditional idea of a public building. To us, the commons is not a stable thing to be administered by the state, but it is a practice that has to be negotiated between different social groups and their environments. So one of our last projects, a school that we built in Nicaragua with the help of a local NGO, enabled us to test these ideas and to put them in practice. The school tested the idea of the commons in 2 ways. First, running the Go campaign that brought together a diverse set of people from over 30 different countries in order to provide the funds that were necessary for the school, and that also encouraged some to participate in alternative ways, such as providing technical or legal advice. And second, because we chose a construction technique that had to be designed and built collectively. So that was a form of building that required great collective effort, but no expensive power tools or technical expertise, high technical expertise. The earthbag system. The earthbag system is a construction technique that until nowadays has been mostly used only for emergency structures and for self-build. So it actually originated as a means to build protective barriers for flood control, and in the 60s it began to be used by some institutions such as the United Nations in their developing programs. However, its aesthetic, its technical, and its environmental potential have not yet been developed. So in the school that we built in Nicaragua, we responded to some of these questions. We collaborated with engineers in order to improve the structural integrity of the system. And we conducted tests concerning the material's ability to resist loads. And we also organized a series of design workshops with the community when they were included always as active decision makers in the process. So the school was only the first project of a larger series that we like to think about it as responding to this question of how to transform a bag of dirt into a collective form of building. And so the second instance of this exploration happened about a year ago with our proposal for a pavilion in Governor's Island, where the idea of the airbag was applied to New York public spaces. So this was a zero-waste pavilion that was to be collectively built during the summer and then collectively dismantled into the island landscape. So our next step is to design and build a series of prototypes that continue testing this idea of the airbag as a catalyst for the commons. And so we have envisioned 4 different types of institutional collaborations, each of which highlight a different aspect of the material and its impact on a community. Playgrounds that take advantage of the material's plasticity and that therefore can create geometries and spaces that could be very difficult to achieve with prefabricated materials. Landscape and water infrastructures that take advantage of the solidity and that therefore can create topographic operations for gathering spaces. Small-scale structures that host educational programs for cultural institutions and that can be very cheap and very quickly built. In fact, right now, we have reduced the amount of time that is necessary to build a room similar to the one that we are in to less than 2 weeks. And lastly, also structures for food production, where the airbag also performs as a biological habitat. So in this case, plants, fungi, and other small organisms can grow in the outward of these bags and can change and can create a skin that changes and that transforms with the environment. So next summer, we will build the first one of these prototypes with the help of Pratt Institute. And this will function as a gathering space for art students and local residents in Brooklyn. But since this will be the first one of a longer series, then right now we are looking for collaborations with further institutions and for funding to further develop this project. We believe that such collaborations could lead towards a common practice of design where technique and process are a priority, are at the center. And so we hope that by calling the attention to forms of construction that are away from the conventional, that we can provide inventive collective imaginaries. then and only then will architecture be able to contribute to a common good. Thank you.